And also, speaking of Rob, shout out to Rob because this is a story he's been talking about on all of his channels, all 1,000 of them. uh Talking about this situation going on in rural Michigan. Now, you know, when you see the words rural, you know who the main inhabitants of these places are. But it says rural Michigan communities revolt over plans to build a Chinese owned factories nearby and say it's disgusting. Let's see what they're talking about here. Communities in rural Michigan are revolting against a decision to allow a Chinese owned firm to build a battery plant in the area, according to footage of a recent Green Charter Township Board meeting obtained by a conservative outlet, The Midwesterner. More than 100 residents of Green Charter Township in Big Rapids in rural Mecosta County, Michigan, showed up to the March 14th meeting to voice concerns over the presence of the Chinese-owned company Goshen Global amid growing concerns over national security issues related to China. The thing that drives some of the most crazy about this is that this is a Chinese owned company. A Chinese owned company is a communist company. Why would you bring a communist company to Big Rapids, Michigan, when we have troops mobilizing right now to fight China? One resident who identified himself as an Iraq war veteran told the town's board members. Why would we invite the enemy to come spy on us? All the things on here are bad, but the thing that drives me the most nuts is that it is our enemy, not the Chinese people. I have nothing against the Chinese people because they suffer under the same communism that you are all trying to bring here. It is disgusting. Other residents echoed that sentiment, warning against giving China the opportunity to reach its tentacles further into the US and arguing that there should be American companies on American soil. Former Republican gubernatorial candidate Tudor Dixon, who lost to Democratic Governor Gretchen Whitmer last year, has been one of the sharpest critics of allowing a Chinese owned company to build in Michigan. The residents who spoke out against the Big Rapids Communist Chinese battery plant were clear, focused, and on point. Township leaders would do well to listen to them and heed their concerns. National security over the promise of jobs, she wrote on Twitter following the town meeting. I stand with residents fighting back against having a 700-acre Chinese battery plant in their backyard that could easily double as a base for spying on Americans. No Goshen in America. I mean, in Michigan. Michigan lawmakers also approved $585 million in funding from the state to go toward the building of the plant, along with two others that would produce electric vehicle batteries. The plant was approved for construction by a state economic development board and was originally supposed to be constructed on land in both Big Rapids and Green Charter Township. Last month, Goshen put the planned construction in Big Rapids on hold after the town board unanimously voted days earlier to request a federal review for any potential national security risk associated with having a Chinese-owned company in the area, according to a report by the Detroit News. Earlier this month, the company said the plant was not a done deal, citing the pushback from local residents. Not all members of the community opposed the project. Some of its supporters have touted the thousands of jobs that would be brought to the area and should the plant be constructed. Green Charter Township will hold another meeting April 5th with the proposed plant on the agenda. Now, it's very interesting to hear that, you know, people, the Chinese are getting pushback to not want to build in this area, because it actually leads me into a video that I actually came across shortly after I saw this. And this is on Instagram, because we all know that they love to plant Asian owned spots in our communities. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit closer so y'all can see this a little bit better. And I want y'all to hear what this woman, this Chinese woman, has to say as to why Asian owned businesses are planted in Black neighborhoods. Now, this is probably going to be something that many of us have already heard. And I'll put it like this. This is for the people who didn't quite get the memo the first time, or it's a little bit noisy in the back that they couldn't hear it.
Asian Americans were redlined from opening businesses in white neighborhoods because white people didn't want Asian Americans operating in their neighborhoods and didn't want Asian Americans profiting off of white people.
Oh yeah, this is really important.
But because the positionality of Asian Americans is weaponized to oppress Black people, Asian Americans were being given loans to open businesses in Black communities, even though Black people were not able to receive loans to open businesses in their own communities.
Say what?
And as I've said before, as a result of this, Black wealth is essentially paid out twice when it goes to Asian American businesses, even though Black people were not able to receive loans to open businesses in their own communities.
So everybody robbing us.
Black wealth is essentially paid out twice when it goes to Asian American businesses. Once when the individual pays for the goods or services, and then again when the Asian American business owner removes the profit from the community.
You gotta be shitting me.
Usually, people open businesses in their own communities, and this is mutually beneficial, where the business owner is making a livelihood off of providing goods and services to their community. And by being a member of the community, they're contributing and they're investing back into the community.
Nipsey Hussle.
And that is not what happens with Asian American businesses operating in Black communities.
She said it.
And Asian American.
And that's the whole video right there. So I wanted y'all to see that because she said it, not me. But this is something that we have been talking about as Black people for such a long time, that other groups get shut out by white people. And what they'll tell them is, you can't set up shop here. But if you go down to that little pocket over there, you know where it's a lot, where you see all those darkies. Go down there and set up shop there, and we will ensure that we will give you loans, we will give you grants, but you have to set up shop there and make sure that they do not set up shop in their own neighborhoods. We want them to be at mercy to you. You don't even, as a matter of fact, you don't even have to live there. As a matter of fact, you can live amongst us. You just can't set up shop where we are. You can live here, but we ain't letting you do business here. But go set up shop there and make sure that you get all the resources possible, reap all the benefits. Don't even hire them, and all will be good. And she said it, like she basically laid it right on out here that they get loans, they get grants, because a lot of people who come over here, a lot of immigrants will tell you the lie of, oh, we worked for it. We did it ourselves. You know, we wasn't lazy like you are. We picked ourselves up by our bootstraps and did what, and you know, we understood the assignment. Now, one thing I wanted to do before I actually end this stream is I wanted to tell y'all a little situation based on what y'all just saw right here. And this is when I was in college, or me being in college. So, as many of you know, I did go to an HBCU. I went to an HBCU down in South Carolina from 07 to 2011. And my school was on one side of the street, and there was an HBCU right directly across the street from me. Like literally, we could walk to each other's schools, like and be to each other's schools in like a minute. That's how close it was. On that side of the school, in a parking lot, was their cafeteria. And then also there, it had a Family Dollar, and they also had some other businesses as well. One of those businesses was a Chinese carryout called China Walk. That it was like your standard basic Chinese carryout spot that we've all seen before. On my side of the street, there was, you know, the workout area. You had a dorm, you had a Bank of America machine right there. But if you kept going down a little bit, was another Chinese-owned spot called China Kitchen. And I and many others believe that China Walk and China Kitchen were owned by the same people, because it's like they're right across the street from each other, and they serve basically some of the same food. Now, at the front of our school, well, my side of the school, was this place called College Corner. that served burgers, fries, your typical quote unquote American food. That spot was owned by Asians. Follow me here. Keep in mind, I went to an HBCU. The school across the street from me was an HBCU. Now we're surrounded by 3 Chinese or 3 Asian owned establishments, 1 in the front, 2 in the back. Now, if you went down the street, probably had to drive there, but I've been there. If you drive down the street or walk there, if you had the strength to want to walk, you would end up on the University of South Carolina's campus, their main campus. And I've been to their campus maybe 3 times when I was there. Do you know that every time I went there, I never saw one Asian owned spot in their surrounding area? So when you take everything that I just said about the geographical surroundings of the school I went to, the school across the street from me, and the geographical surroundings of University of South Carolina, as big as that campus was, because what I would do is I went to their student center, which was very nice. I don't know what it looks like now, but at the time it looked really nice. They had a theater and everything. They did not have one Asian owned spot around or inside of their student center. I didn't pick up on that then, because you got to think at the time, I'm 18, 19 years old, which was around the time we went there. So I didn't think of it at the time. But when I saw this video, it made me think of that. Now, that place it's in front of my school that I was talking about that served the American food. Last time I went there, which was back in 2019 for homecoming, it's a Jamaican spot now. Now, I don't know who owns it. I don't know who owns that. But it's a Jamaican spot now. But that China Walk and I think that China Kitchen, I think are both still there. Lala said, isn't Howard University? No, Howard's in DC. Howard's in DC. The school I went to was in South Carolina, which is 8.5 hours away from where I am now. But yeah, I just wanted to point that out to y'all that, yeah, this is very strategic. How ironic that they set up 2 Chinese spots that are Chinese, and an Asian-owned spot that doesn't serve Chinese food near the black schools, but when you went to near the white school, there was none existent. And you look, and when you hear what that Asian woman said, it's like, oh wow, now it all makes sense. Just something very interesting that they don't have to just do it in a residential area like they do outside of a school. They'll do it in a school zoning area as well.